11 games. He lasted 11 games into the new season, guys. Oh my goodness. I have never seen an organization operate like this, ever. For those of you that don't know, the Dallas Mavericks have finally done it. They finally got rid of general manager Nico Harrison after what feels like a long time, but it's only basically in the same calendar year as him making one of the worst trades I've ever seen in trading away Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and Max Christie. And I know that you've probably clicked on this YouTube video and a lot of other videos talking about the Dallas Mavericks, talking about the trade and whatnot. I want to talk a little bit about sports sadness and how this particular wave of it is something unique that I haven't seen in basketball in a long time. I cannot even begin to fathom, cannot even begin to imagine what it must feel like for Dallas Mavericks fans to have been in the NBA Finals just 2 seasons ago. We all watched it. They lost in 5 to a very powerful Boston Celtics team. And that Mavericks team they weren't favored to win, but it also wasn't like, it wasn't a bad run. Luka willed that Dallas Mavericks team to the NBA Finals, and it was awesome. I cannot fathom watching that finals run and being like, you know what, the main guy, let's get him out of here. The main guy, Luka Doncic, it's what's holding us back from actually winning a championship. And you know who would fix that? Anthony Davis. The wild thing about this trade is that no matter where you try to take it, there was no defending this. There's no rationale for this trade besides either one man's ego or the direction of an ownership that really underestimated the power of one player and how much he means to an entire fan base, an entire city. And either way you slice it, it's all bad. If you're new here, welcome in, and if you know me, welcome back. Thank you guys for following along with the channel. The goal is to get to 20,000 subs by the end of the year. Also, I want to shout out my Patreon subs and my Nebula subscribers. For those of you that don't know, Nebula is a very special content creator streaming platform where you get access to my video essays and a lot of other special creators' video essays as well. And we're offering 3-day free trials. All the videos on there are sponsor and ad free, so you can binge watch to your heart's content. Feel free to give it a try. If you do, I'll appreciate it. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But the free trial is there. I implore you to check it out. It really helps me in the long run. All right, back to it. I always stick to The Last Dance. My mind always wanders back to The Last Dance, where that entire time in that documentary, they talk about Bulls GM Jerry Krause and how, you know, it was the dream, like it was over. Everyone that Bulls season knew it was over. They knew it was the last time. They knew this team wouldn't be the same. But even still, at least those teams won multiple championships, right? Not everyone in the organization has to get along, but I feels like everyone in the organization, if they know that, will buckle down and be like, this is the best chance our team has to win. I want to keep my job. Do you want to keep your job? Do you want to keep your job? Okay, let's go through with it. That's not what happened in Dallas. What happened in Dallas was not only getting rid of Luka. They got rid of Luka after they got rid of everybody basically in that organization that even remotely liked Luka, and then replaced them with either Nico Harrison yes men or people unqualified to do the job. Sometimes it's both. Nico Harrison, I have to remind everybody, after firing a long-time loved trainer that was there for 21 years, replaced that trainer with someone that didn't have the NBA certifications to do sports medicine for an NBA team. He hired someone unqualified. This level of incompetence was such to where I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. And I'm a Detroit Pistons fan, bro. I had to sit through Troy Weaver for 4 years. But as bad as Troy Weaver was, I never at once thought that Troy Weaver was trying to sabotage the team from the inside to fit his own personal agenda. No matter how much Nico Harrison tried or tried not to have this fit his own petty agenda or fill his ego, even if he intended to or not, the aura, the energy, and the attitude that he had around all of this never dissuaded anyone from thinking that Nico Harrison was making these decisions from a basketball perspective. Dude, the defenses wins championships rationale falls apart because as it stands, this Dallas Mavericks team is one of the worst modern offenses in the history of the NBA. Yes, they're a top 4 or 5 defense, but whoop-de-doo. That's not how a champion or you can't just do solo defense. You're not the 2000 Baltimore Ravens here. Oh, Luka shows up out of shape. He gets injured a lot. Oh, I traded him for Anthony Davis, whose nickname is Street Clothes. And I'm not an Anthony Davis hater. These aren't my words. They're Charles Barkley's. They call him Street Clothes because Anthony Davis doesn't even see the court most of the time. The thing that also just blows my mind about this is that Nico Harrison did this Luka trade with no guarantee that the Mavericks were going to get a number 1 pick. They weren't even close. When we were talking about that lottery, we weren't even talking about the Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 pick. No one was talking about that. We're talking about like Wizards and all that stuff. Like the normal usual suspects to have great lottery odds. Like imagine how bad this team would be without Cooper Flagg, who I feel really bad for actually. Cooper Flagg doesn't deserve to be in this much of a shit show because it says that the Dallas Mavericks have played home and away games this year, but as it stands to me, the Dallas Mavericks have played all road games because that Mavericks crowd was so angry at Nico Harrison that their home atmosphere didn't feel like a home atmosphere. And to all the players, that must be tough because the players had nothing to do with it. A lot of these guys signed to play with Luka. Klay Thompson, you think he signed to not play next to Luka Doncic? That was the biggest draw for a lot of free agents. A lot of the moves that the Mavericks made were players that directly benefited a lot offensively from Luka Doncic. This trade does not make sense. It will not make sense. Also, I hear a lot of people being like, oh, the injuries to Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Yes, they were a setback. But even if Kyrie and Anthony Davis were fully healthy, trading Luka Doncic still sounds nuts. This is a trade that is so bad that when Shams tweeted it out, people thought that Shams got hacked. And then when other NBA insiders were like, no, Shams is actually right here, everyone else was like, these insiders also got hacked. That's how bad of a trade it is. Also, you traded him. It doesn't make it better that it was the Lakers. Like, this was a Lakers franchise that the future was so up in the air that we were asking questions being like, what are the Lakers going to do post LeBron? I have no idea. What are the Lakers going to do post LeBron? It's LeBron and Anthony Davis. They're getting older, whatnot. And not only do you reset another team's timeline that also has a lot of great access to free agents historically, you accelerate your own basketball timeline with a guy that is often injured. It makes no sense. Now, a lot of people are like, ownership wanted him to do it. I don't believe that the ownership would directly instruct Nico Harrison to do this because I don't think that these owners are good basketball people. What I believe happened, and this might be my theory, is that Nico Harrison had this personal vendetta, this need to be the main architect, get all the credit, like Jerry Jones in Dallas. You're like, oh, he's the owner and the GM. He's the GM. He's the real mastermind behind these teams. It felt like maybe Nico felt like he wanted to be the mastermind. He was always right, whatever. And the ownership just looked at Nico and was like, yeah, I probably trust you. And what's the worst that could happen? Turns out the worst that can happen today, because every quote looks worse. Every quote looks bad. But we're going to read some we're going to do my favorite thing. We're going to read some nice, juicy, journalistic exit articles. And those are my favorite because usually when you know behind the scenes something is a shit show, I like to read like what the journalists have been like, yeah, I've been on the ground. I've seen this. I've seen that. It's time to put it all into one juicy article. So without further ado, let's go to the board. Now, the first article is from ESPN's Tim McMahon, who has been following this Dallas situation, following this Nico situation pretty intensely. He's the one that had the big ESPN article with Nico Harrison that we've read on this channel before last, like when it was happening. So I want to read this first, and then we're going to read one more. Now, Mavericks fans have been like, fire Nico, and I really do think that Nico's firing does not happen this soon into the season without the upped pressure from Mavericks fans. I really think that Mavericks fans did a great job of making their voice heard as to why this is a bad deal all around. Because players get traded that are beloved all the time. That happens. Either they get traded or they get let go. That happens all the time, right? The Celtics, when they had to replace Marcus Smart, and then they went on to win a championship. Marcus Smart was well loved in Boston. We don't chant fire Brad Stevens. It was the fact that this player was so well loved and also so talented. A generational, you can even say generational talent, guys. And as a fan that is a big fan of Trae Young and how Trae Young plays, I heard a lot from Luka fans about like, oh, Luka, Mavericks won the trade. I heard about that endlessly because Luka fans knew just how good of a player he was going to be. He was supposed to be a Maverick for life. He was supposed to have his own statue outside of American Airlines Center when it was all said and done, just like Dirk had done. All right. He was supposed to be one of the last star players that spent their entire career in one place, because that so rarely happens in this day and age. Luka Doncic, he was 25, bro. Luka Doncic was 25, and he got traded for 31-year-old Anthony Davis, bro. This will never make sense, bro. So he was fired Tuesday morning with Patrick Dumont, who came to regret approving Harrison's plan. So my theory is that Nico Harrison came to the ownership being like, I got a great idea. And the owners probably were like, I don't know what, I trust your judgment. I think the new owners came to trust Nico Harrison's judgment a little too much. Now, I've seen the opposite way around, where owner meddling has been able to ruin franchises and whatnot. I think this is the opposite. I think this is an owner that has too much trust in the front office and doesn't even like have a basis, because I feel like that owner could have asked like 13 people in Dallas and been like, should we trade Luka for Anthony Davis and Max Christie? And everybody would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I guess this is an owner who was just too detached from the team that they're owning, and this is what happened. I can't believe, oh my god. And this is extremely underwhelming because Anthony Davis has owned a $62 million player option in 3 seasons. He's going to be 34. He's going to be 34 with a $62 million player option. And you've seen his injury history now. I don't even want to know what it's like in 2 to 3 years. Time will tell if I'm right. Again, this is one of those quotes where Nico Harrison was like, oh yeah, I might be. He didn't even get the chance to see it through because it was that bad. Now, there have been times where GMs have been like, hey, not gonna cap, bro. We're gonna suck. We're gonna suck, but it's all for the greater good. Nico Harrison was like, no, I think this is a win now team. He took a finals team, decimated it in basically a couple of moves. We don't even talk about the other trade that was made in the shadows. Quentin Grimes for what? Caleb Martin? That's also like such a bad trade. Oh my goodness, dude. The season already started and Anthony Davis is hurt with the left calf strain. But the thing is that if Nico Harrison had been paying attention to anything, he would have known that Anthony Davis gets hurt like this all the time. And I don't want to be that person that's like, if you look at previous person's injury history, you can tell the future injury history. I don't want to be that person. But it's probably one of the more important things to consider when you're about to make a trade. Why fire Harrison now? The situation in Dallas reached the point of being untenable. Dumont had lost trust in Harrison, as evidenced by the governor's involvement in the decision to hold off on Davis's return over the weekend, sided with Mavs medical staff's desire to not risk aggravating the calf injury. The uncertainty hanging over Harrison's head loomed like a black cloud over the entire organization, bro. This is just a couple of moves. Tanked an NBA Finals team, and now the entire organization is just like cooked. It was just a matter of time, a league source told ESPN, bro. And Dumont sent a letter to the team's fans, bro. Whenever you have to send a message to the team's fans, you're not in a good place. Troy Weaver sent a letter to Pistons fans. We were not in a good place. It didn't get better after that. And Mavericks, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bumpy ride for a little bit. Please know that I'm fully committed to the success of the Mavericks. This is something that the owner of the White Sox would do. Like, whenever a team is in dire straits and they have to send a letter to fans, you know it's bad. And the thing is, even after that, Nico Harrison had a full off season to try to make this roster cohesive and coherent. And they entered the season with basically without a point guard, guys. And I know Kyrie's hurt, but you need to have another serviceable point guard. So Jason Kidd starting Cooper Flagg at point guard. And I know that Cooper Flagg was basically a do-it-all player for Duke. Putting an 18-year-old as an NBA point guard that has never played the position is nuts. I just gotta say, that's flat-out lunacy. That's so tough. That's such a tough adjustment. Of course, the hype around Cooper Flagg, and I'm not talking about the hype being like Cooper Flagg's not going to be a good prospect. I'm not talking about that hype. I'm talking about we have to tune into Mavericks games, look at Cooper Flagg in a position that he's not used to, and a once exciting player is now a product of organizational malpractice, and now us as the NBA fans can't even be happy about it. Because the thing is that we're in a great spot in the NBA, bro. The NBA is off to one of the best starts in a long time. And meanwhile, we have this number one pick stuck in Alcatraz. God, that makes me so upset. There's no point guard. A scout from an Eastern Conference team, bro. The coach doesn't trust the guy you signed this summer. That's obvious. They don't trust him enough to make him the floor leader, and that's in line with consensus around the league. And this is a thing that commonly happens where, like, a GM or the higher ups will sign a player thinking that they're gonna do something, and then the coach looks at him and is like, why is this person here? And I feel like this person's talking about D'Angelo Russell. And if Jason Kidd doesn't trust D'Angelo Russell, that's a problem. Because I don't think D'Angelo Russell's that bad of a player. Honestly, I think that D'Angelo Russell catches a lot of hell from fan bases that, you know, expect more. I get it. But to have an NBA coach look at D'Angelo Russell and be like, nope, Cooper Flagg's my point guard. It's not good. Even if Jason Kidd's right or wrong, just that is not good, because that means that at the very least there was a disconnect between coach and GM in that aspect. They rank last in the league in threes per game, 3-point percentage. Yeah, it's not fun to watch. Remarkable that Nico did not acquire a good guard this summer so they could win some games. That was such low-hanging fruit. And I feel like there were some good free agents that Nico Harrison could have tried to get on paper. Now, I'm not going to be familiar with Dallas Mavericks cap situation. I don't, but I'm going to go through the list of guards that were available. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Cole Anthony. I don't think Bradley Beal, whatever. Bruce Brown. I don't think that Bruce Brown would have gone to Dallas, but Javon Carter, Jordan Clarkson, Keon Ellis. Now, Keon Ellis is a bit different. I think that Keon Ellis is going to make a great addition for a playoff contender when he gets traded. Now, a lot of these that I'm listing aren't going to be realistic, but I feel like out of all the people that I name, there's going to be at least a couple that, like, make sense, you know? Quentin Grimes, what do you know? But that was a qualifying offer thing. Ty Jerome, Karis LeVert, Tyus Jones, Monty Morris. So they get D'Angelo Russell. Dennis Schroeder was available. But I guess Jason Kidd was like, D'Angelo Russell's not enough. All right. Russell Westbrook, 37. I get it, but it is what it is. Cam Thomas was a restricted free agent. All I'm saying is that I know I listed a lot of names there, and some of those names, most of those names are probably unrealistic. The fact that Nico Harrison did have an entire offseason to like be like, oh shit, we don't have a point guard, and then didn't do anything to do that, to help with that. Not good. Not good. D'Angelo Russell was not enough. And even if you think that D'Angelo Russell was enough, D'Angelo Russell was not enough to convince Jason Kidd to put him at point guard to start. Vibe inside the locker room. The atmosphere at American Airlines Center has been so miserable that the Mavericks consider home court to be a disadvantage. These people don't want us to win one play. Dude, I have to feel bad for these players because this is not what anyone signed up for. Most of those players in that locker room signed up to play with a top 5 offensive engine, maybe ever, of all time. And now they're caught in the crossfire of one man's ego. And now they have to play in this. They made Cooper Flagg sad. You made your number 1 pick sad, bro. You made your number 1 pick sad less than 10 games into the season. Like, the players have to acknowledge this. What's next with Anthony Davis? It's time for him to go. Get him for whatever you can. But the thing is that the fact that even in the same calendar year, the trade market for him is going to be bleak, that just shows how bad that trade is going to be. This is an old basketball team. You have Flagg, but you're old and they don't own your picks. The Dallas Mavericks don't have a first-round pick until 2031. The fact that Luka got traded, whenever we're in a league where Desmond Bane you get 4 first-round picks from the Magic. We're in a league now where a lot of stars get traded and people just like stack draft picks in there, right? The Paul George trade, the Bridges trade. Nico Harrison got 1 first-round pick back. The Lakers had another one, and Nico wasn't even a good enough negotiator to give them that one. When you trade for Luka Doncic, you're expected to have so much draft capital to where you can stack the odds to maybe there being a chance that you can draft another player as good on top of all the stuff that you got. Nico Harrison didn't care about that because he's a shit negotiator. Like, they have to bottom out this year. So Anthony Davis has to get traded. But now the new guy, whoever moves in, and the assistant general managers are Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi. And you remember Michael Finley, the guy that took a beer out of Luka Doncic's hand? I didn't know something was going up in the Dallas Mavericks organization. Maybe that was the first sign. When they took the beer out of Luka's hand after they won the Western Conference Finals, they were treating him like a kid, bro. Let the man drink a beer. He just accomplished something great. He'll be ready for the finals. I believe it. Like, this is some wild stuff, truly. Now, the next article we're going to read is from Tim Cato. He's a former colleague from mine. We worked together at SB Nation. If you live in Dallas, follow alldallas.com. ALLDLLS.com. They make some of the great Dallas sports content that you will see. Okay? If he had accepted that he had built a title contending version of the Dallas Mavericks, albeit one that didn't quite match his preferred vision, that didn't quite employ all his best friends. Like, sometimes as a GM, you got to just put your pride aside. Maybe the team isn't whatever you built, but you got to the fucking finals, bro. You got to the finals, man. Do nothing. I'm someone that doesn't like to be stagnant too, okay? But the thing is that I'm playing NBA 2K26. You're running a real basketball team, okay? I can make a dumb trade and quit the game and start a new franchise. This will not be erased it will never be erased. This will not be rectified for a long time. Harrison was victim to his own ego. That Harrison's decision to systematically stamp out the messy system in place under Mark Cuban for a more corporate Nike style even at the expense of many long-tenured employees. Yeah, dude. Through respect and competence, if they had earned their job, like they've earned their position through respect and competence, and you just get rid of them, how did you think that? This really sounds like when a tech company buys a media company and then lays off people because they have no idea how the organization actually works. Whenever someone acquires something that they don't really fully have the grasp of, and they just start making bad decisions. It's like when King Joffrey became king. There had always been signs that Harrison was underwater in his front office role. In the first years, front office executives around the league found it curious how difficult it was to reach him on the phone. He's a GM that can't be reached? Bro. Okay. Some trades were surprisingly pricey for the returns, others that likely would have been mistakes, like how Harrison attempted to deal 2 first-rounders for Kyle Kuzma. First of all, oh my God. First of all, the fact that this trade only didn't happen because Nico Harrison was somehow dealing with an organization that was just as incompetent saved him. Because this could have got way worse. Harrison attempted to deal 2 first-rounders for Wizards Kyle Kuzma. That's unreal. 2 first... Okay. One team source recalls a document where Harrison placed Drew Holiday within the same trade target tier as Nikola Jokic. I am surprised that Nico Harrison lasted this long. So, a GM that could not evaluate talent. Even established NBA talent. Because this sentence makes no fucking sense. Drew Holiday in the same target tier as Nikola. What are we doing? I would have packed her. If I had heard that and been like, I would have told. If I had heard that and someone was like, I would have told somebody, because we can't have that person affecting my job security. Even then, Doncic's presence meant that Harrison's team building objectives were never all that uncertain. Acquire 3-and-D athletes, get rim running centers, and let Luka make it all together. Harrison clearly underestimated how much Doncic contributed to that equation. Like, Harrison acquired some of these players, right? You get Gafford and Derek Lively. And then you get the players... Oh, that's what makes it worse. You get the players that best play on offense with Luka, and then you get rid of Luka. Did you think that D'Angelo Russell was going to be able to fill that gap? What a moron. It was always foreseeable, even predictable, that the injury-prone players he tied his fate to, Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, would be prone to injuries. But Harrison's vision was one where he didn't seriously pursue a proper point guard for the season's opening months. It was one that head coach Jason Kidd clearly didn't buy into. Not only did Kidd refuse to start D'Angelo Russell for the season's opening games, but he also almost completely avoided playing Davis and Derek Lively in the same lineup, except for their nominal minutes together as starters. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, also the bigs that are left now. Playing Lively and Gafford next to Luka was fine. Davis, Lively, and Gafford, having all 3 of these guys, and there's no one that can help them on offense, it's just incoherent. It's an incoherent offense, bro. Dumont once trusted Harrison and his ideas so much that he greenlit the very Luka trade that began this get fired speedrun challenge that Harrison just aced. Again, trusting your GM a little too much, bro. Oh God. They need to have a fire sale immediately. I'm glad that they got rid of Nico Harrison, but it's sadly 9 months too late. It sucks for Dallas Mavericks fans. That you guys had an owner that wasn't paying attention, fell asleep at the wheel, and trusted a GM with such a huge ego problem. He was a rookie here. You got to play alongside Dirk Nowitzki, bro. It was a passing of the torch, similar to how the Packers have had generational Hall of Fame level quarterbacks in terms of going from Favre to Rodgers. I don't really know the Jordan Love thing. That's probably okay. That was probably a bad analogy given what I'm thinking right now. But the fact that even after firing Nico Harrison, the Dallas Mavericks are still in a bleak situation is just sad. It's hard to feel bad for any basketball team that recently made the finals, but Nico Harrison did it. Thank you guys for watching the end of the video. Again, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and please try the Nebula free trial. I'll appreciate you guys. Thank you for making this far to the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!